Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Hope you guys are doing well today. Going to start over just looking at some quakes. So we have a 5.3 over in Mexico. It's on the Baja Peninsula. And there is also a 4.2 right next to it, an aftershock. So 5.3 is pretty good size for down here. As we're seeing kind of the normal swarming in California and a decent amount of activity up through Idaho, Montana, up in the Yellowstone area, which got me thinking to check the heliplots, which I will take a peek at in a moment. Alaska is pretty active. If we go over here towards Papua New Guinea, we see there's quite a few going on, the biggest being a 6.1 over here, 17.7 kilometers southwest of Lorengau, Papua New Guinea. And we have a 5.6 right by it, a 5.2, a 5.1, and some in the 4s as well. And then checking the heliplots, something told me, I just like a little whispering voice in my head was like curious what Yellowstone's heliplots doing. Well, data's not available, so Yellowstone was offline, so that disappointed me because I was just getting this feeling like I want to check Yellowstone's heliplot. Not sure why, but just did. And anyway, they're not giving us any data from it. So curious, definitely curious. Going through the heliplots, and this just basically is showing seismic activity at different locations, and it comes in different ways. So you could see, if you're looking at these, you see these peaks and stuff. And this is Western Australia, so that's pretty, and over here as well in Australia, pretty significant. This one is the Canary Islands, which is another one I always take a look at, because the Canary Islands is one of those areas that, as we've talked about with La Palma, where you could have the same sort of thing that we had going on over with Anak Krakatau. And so it's a key area to keep your eye on, and it is active. You can see there's a lot of activity going on right now over in the Canary Islands, as well as in a few other areas. You can see some pretty serious activity in the Solomon Islands, and those are active areas. Of course, Australia is getting a lot of activity. But the one that hit me, well, the two, was Yellowstone not having anything up, and then the Canary Islands activity as well. So speaking of Australia, Australia is in the midst of a scorching heat wave that has set all-time temperature records in what has been 4 of its most sweltering days in history, even causing bats to fall from trees dead because of the temperature. Extreme heat. The past 4 days are in Australia's top 10 warmest days on record. And the trend looks like it's continuing. Nights have been hot too. Let's not even say warm. Let's say hot. These temps are potentially killer temps. 120 degrees, 49.1 Celsius on Sunday. I mean, look at these temperatures. That is scorching. And as we see, it's very toasty down under. So we have record highs, right? What we have is extremes. We have extremes everywhere. And as this is saying from the watchers, the same thing, all-time highs, broken, just crushed. And now we have Central Europe literally getting buried in snow. Total accumulations of 5 meters, 16.4 feet. Forecast for Austria. So this is being reported as the worst snow event in 30 years, and it's still raging on through Central Europe. Austria is being buried 2 weeks after the first snowstorm rolled in. Up to 16 feet. Look at this. All you're seeing is you're seeing the top of the roofs. Where's the first floor? It's buried. That is intense and crazy. And as we're going to take a peek at, it's here, there, it's kind of everywhere is what we have. Bolivia, we were talking about Argentina. Bolivia declares flooding emergency in the lowlands. and so many people are really very poor in this area, and many of them are living in nothing more than shacks. And so obviously it's an extreme situation for them. So Bolivia's government declared a state of emergency in the central lowlands with their flooding situation. And we were talking about Australia, we were talking about Argentina and the flooding. And then over in Peru, you can't even breathe here. A giant sewage spill because of the flooding befouls Peru's capital, Lima. And so now you have an unbearable stench because of the flood basically causing a blockage in a giant pipe that collects 80% of the sewage in this one district. And so it's all backed up, and it's not pleasant. Not pleasant at all. So, we're seeing these extreme weather events, as we've said, everywhere. Everywhere you look. Nasty storm battering Bay Area leads to 5 deaths, flooding, power outages. Trees down, obviously. And this is part of that one after another that we were talking about. 3 peaks in Big Sur received the most precipitation with 5.75 inches recorded. Venado wasn't far behind with 5.68 inches, as you see some of these totals here. With the atmospheric river now to our southeast, just how much rain did we receive? And that's out of the National Weather Service Bay Area. There was a 3.5 earthquake reported in Piedmont around 6 a.m. Thursday, causing a 20-minute delay on the BART. And flooding closed one eastbound lane before 9 a.m. in San Francisco and on the Embarcadero between Howard and Mission Streets. And elsewhere in San Fran, we see massive tree down there. So this weather situation is just getting more intense, and we have a blockbuster storm heads east, could drop 40 inches of snow. Yes, that was not a typo. 40 inches of snow heading east. Then an Arctic blast will freeze 200 million. So after hammering California with rain and snow, a blockbuster winter storm is taking aim on the east, where as much as 40 inches of snow could fall. After the storm rolls through, bitterly cold air straight from the Arctic is going to roar down in, bringing below freezing temperatures to about 200 million Americans. Freezing rain, heavy snow, heavy rains are expected in association with the storm system through the central and eastern U.S. over the next few days. On Friday, the heaviest snow will hit South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, Kansas, Missouri, and Iowa. Then the storm will wind up and roar into the Northeast and New England. AccuWeather said 40 inches is possible in parts of northern New England. Close to 30 inches of snow may fall in parts of central and northern New York State and the northern tier of Pennsylvania. Snowfall rates could be between 2 and 3 inches per hour. The storm will be a blockbuster in terms of impact and dangerous conditions, said Alex Sosnowski, the AccuWeather meteorologist. So, get ready, guys. You can see it right here. It's going to be big and intense. So be prepared if you're in any of these regions. As we've seen, this one has been impactful, and it's going to be coast to coast. And total snow mass for the northern hemisphere, currently well above the 30-year average. So this is data from the Finnish Meteorological Institute, has plotted the total snow mass for the northern hemisphere, excluding the mountains, consistently above the 30-year average since October 2018. And that's out of Electroverse. And over here, UK weather forecast: snow hits Britain as the Met Office issues ice warning. More wintry weather on the way after many Britons woke up to their first snowfall of the season. So you have a winter wonderland going on, and the dangers that it brings, such as this car laying on its roof. So again, even if you got four-wheel drive, take it slow, especially on the turns. And again, four-wheel drive doesn't necessarily help you with stopping or navigating an icy turn. So we see Scotland under a snow warning as well. It is a pretty scene, and you can have fun in it as well, as this little one does. So we have Mount Shindake erupting, large pyroclastic flow produced in Japan. And this eruption was on January 17th. It's a typo, it's 2019, ejecting ash up to basically 20,000 feet above sea level. So the alert level is at a 3 of 5. And the eruption did rattle buildings, adding more particulates to the air. Most definitely. And over here, distant volcano could turn Americans' lunar eclipse dark red. And this is because of Anak Krakatau's eruption in Indonesia, putting particulates again up in the atmosphere, and it could actually change this lunar eclipse blood red. And many people will take that as a sign as well. And we have a meteor exploding over Cape Town, and this is in South Africa. Bright meteor exploded over Cape Town, South Africa at 1805 UTC on January 16th. The bright light produced by the object was followed by a very loud sound and ground shaking, and people all over the Cape felt it, and some saw it as well, as we can see the location here. And they received hundreds of reports as well, and there is a video for you guys to check out, or two. And I have all the links for you guys as always. And then again, this was just talking about that parade of storms going through. And you know, if you're in the mountains in California, you're getting buried in snow. Then of course, if you're more towards the coast, you got to worry about the landslides as we see here. The weather has just been crazy and intense and deadly. And then we were talking about that situation in Russia as well, where they don't know what it was, you know, that caused this basically a mountain to kind of crumble and then create a blockage that is causing flooding going on. So they're not really sure what caused it, but anyway, President Putin there has approved the use of 11 carriages of special explosives to remove a huge amount of debris left after this massive landslide. Created an artificial dam, and this was in a remote area in Russia. And this is the largest landslide event in Russia in recent years, and it deposited some, well, a ton, let's say many millions of tons of rocks, and created a 524-foot high natural dam on the river. So they are going to blast it. Something tells me some of those guys are going to enjoy that. So this is heartmath.org, and we're checking out the Schumann resonance. And we can see, you know, most of the time when I've checked it out, honestly, the most active place has been South Africa. The more yellow, the more activity. So this location right here is South Africa. This is New Zealand, Canada, Lithuania, Saudi Arabia, and California. So we see the most intense activity down in South Africa right now. And we can see on the 16th a spike in activity in California as well as Saudi Arabia. And we have 7 things you realize after living without electricity. Just think about it, like if you were in Puerto Rico and had no electricity for pretty much a year. You know, what do you realize? Well, number one, climate control is a godsend. And this says most people don't realize how awful life can be without climate control, such as air conditioning and heaters. And yes, very thankful for that. Most definitely. Think about it. Can you imagine going through that heat wave in Australia right now with no AC? That is seriously life-threatening. I mean, you would not be able to do much except just try to survive and stay cool. Conversely, in some areas that we're seeing people getting buried in 16 feet of snow, in say like Austria and some colder areas, just the opposite situation. And so there's other links here that are good too. This is out of urbansurvivalsite.com. And this is a link over here, 20 ways to stay cool without power. They have a lot of good articles. Number 2, nighttime is really dark. Really dark. You know, if you don't have your flashlights, if you didn't prepare, don't have candles or LCD lights or what have you, yeah, it could be tough just getting around and seeing at night, depending on where you're at. But even if you're in the city when the power goes out, you know, it's still going to be pretty dang dark. And so these are a list of some inexpensive lighting tools that will work, like glow sticks, oil lamps, solar lighting, rechargeable flashlights, candles, obviously. Number 3, obviously we are way too reliant on appliances. Microwaves, toasters. I hope you guys aren't using microwaves anymore. They're not healthy. Toasters, coffee makers, mixers, blenders, panini presses, food processors, you name it. And here's an article, 15 kitchen gadgets that work without power. And some other ways to cook without electricity. Solar ovens, earth ovens, propane grill, camp stove, tea candle oven, self-heating cookware, charcoal grill, smoker. Refrigerators are amazing. Thank God for refrigerators, because then you got to preserve it other ways. Canning, jarring, and salt, you know, for instance, you know, for meats and things like that if you are a meat eater. And so here you have an article, 7 alternative ways to preserve food. I would highly recommend checking that out too. And then, of course, you got your staples that don't need to be preserved. And I wouldn't really put sugar as a staple so much, but flour, oats, dry pasta, honey, jerky, hardtack, rice, dry beans, herbs and spices. Smartphones are magic. We were talking about that before, you know. You might actually want to get some maps, you know, just in case. Get maps, have actual maps, books, you know, things like that. So many other things as well to take into consideration, like, you know, how about communication? That is going to be big time. So you have emergency radios like a hand crank, ham radio, cell phone with solar power charger, you know, and there's a lot of things, you know, that could get you by. Now, if it's an EMP or something like that and there's no cell service, that's one thing. Now, number 6, having no power is boring. Well, that's entirely up to the person. I wouldn't be bored at all because, you know, there's just so much to do outdoors and out in nature. And practicing things like Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, you know, whatever it is that you like to do, obviously opportunity to get some exercise. Modern day people live like kings. Yes, we do. We really, really do. Even, you know, even some of us that are, you know, at the poverty stage, when you compare it to what people have lived at in the past, we've definitely, we are soft in many ways. Many people, most people are pretty soft now. And so that was one of the things that really hit me. Personally, it hit me when, you know, after the move here up into the mountains and all, so much of my time has been just pumping out video after video after video, just feel like a super sense of urgency. There's so much to get across, there's so much to cover, so much to make people aware of. And I realized, you know what, in my meditation, it came to me, you know what, you're getting soft. And that's one thing I feel like I haven't been in my life, is really, really soft, because I've always been somebody that was always working out pretty much, you know, 6 or 7 days of the week, always 1 to 2 hours a day, kind of a health fanatic, and, you know, comes with the territory of being a personal trainer and massage therapist as well, and just, you know, health orientated, always been very, very health orientated. Then I realized, you know what, I'm doing this so much that just in like a few months time, and then with the focus on the prepping as well, I'm getting damn soft. So, just a few weeks ago, started to get back into making sure I'm working out every single day. And boom, when your body's trained, it bounces back really quick. So, I'm feeling very, very different right away. Much stronger. And I know it when I'm out there splitting wood. Now it's like big difference in just doing chores, because, if the power goes out, we got to toughen up, because life is going to be harder. It is going to be harder. It's going to be more physical. And many people I don't think they've thought about that aspect of it. So we have to, build up our immune system, build up our musculoskeletal system, get stronger physically, be more in shape, be prepared for anything. It's part of it. Prepping, as well as like acquiring things, like all the basic stuff that you're going to need, food, water, all those things. You got to get yourself ready as well, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So prepare as well with things like meditation, with things like an exercise routine. And it needs to be done pretty much on a daily basis. As with like most of my clients that would come to me when I was training people, you might put them on some sort of basic routine where you get them going to the gym and doing some sort of resistance exercise, either at the gym or at home, maybe 3 days a week. And then you're also, having them do cardio on a regular basis. Well, we need to do that. We need to get in shape. We need to be prepared. And everybody is a unique case. So, many people I've trained people that were wheelchair bound, and you could still train them, even though they're bound in a wheelchair. There's still things we could do to increase our level of fitness and get ourselves healthier overall. So, my friends, as always, please do subscribe and join this family if you haven't yet. Thumbs up to support the channel. Share with as many people as possible. Keep growing, keep expanding, keep waking people up. As we've said before, people that are prepared are way less likely to panic when things really do hit the fan. So, my friends, as always, God bless, stay safe, namaste.